Good evening to you from Peter Brackley. This is the Jose Diaz Stadium in Lima. Venue tonight for the second match in the South American World Cup qualifying Group 1. The first appearance of Uruguay, surely favourites to go through to Italy next year. It's certainly a game that Peru, after their defeat by Bolivia, will be desperate to win. Bolivia reckoned to be one of the weakest South American nations, and the Peruvians, having scored first in La Paz, will be bitterly disappointed at having let both points slip away. Well, that is the Peruvian side, and quite a few changes in their lineup from the team that lost to Bolivia. Uruguay, well, they were rather inconsistent really in the America Cup, despite reaching the final when they lost to Brazil, but they're very well organised defensively, and they have players fully capable of catching teams on the break. Sosa, in particular, was quite outstanding in the America Cup. So the two teams awaiting then the start of this game. First for Uruguay in this group. And with me here in the commentary box is the Sheffield Wednesday manager, Ron Atkinson. Ron, your feelings on how this one might go? It's a very important one, of course, for Uruguay, who I think it must be said are the favourites to go on from the group.
Yes, it'd be a great surprise if Uruguay didn't qualify for Italy. I mean, Uruguay are one of those nations that have got an outstanding World Cup track record. They've won it on a couple of occasions, and you'd fully expect them to go through comfortably from the group they're in.
Well, looking through the Uruguay side, it's, I think, the same one, apart from the goalkeeper that played in the final of the America Cup. Zioli, who had a tremendous tournament, not in the side. Pereira is in goal, so we can only presume Zioli has some kind of injury or is not available for some other reason. But the rest of the side is the same outfield 10. De Leon, certainly the key defender at the back, alongside Gutierrez, who plays in Italy for Lazio. Herrera and Dominguez, the other defenders. Good atmosphere here in the stadium in Lima. So the two captains exchanging pennants. Francesco Lee for Uruguay, and Uribe for Peru. Uribe, who's been around a while and is reckoned to be one of the outstanding players in South American football. Plays now in Colombia, but he's had a spell in Italy, Ron.
Yes, I mean, he would go down with some of the great, or one or two of the great Peruvian names, such as Cubillas, Mifflin, people like that. He's one, I think they brought him back into the frame for this one. I mean, obviously they'll need his experience in midfield.
Well, certainly if Peru drop a point, 2 points today, I think they can say goodbye to their World Cup hopes. And Bolivia, their confidence is high after beating Peru in La Paz. Goalkeeper is Kurisaga. So the two teams are now preparing for the kickoff. Uruguay, who did so well to get to the final of the America Cup, and then rather disappointing in the final itself against Brazil, who certainly looked the better side on the day. And Brazil, as we've seen since, looking in fine fettle now. And they have to beat Chile now, Brazil in their remaining game. At least they need only a draw now to make certain of going on, unless Chile score, I think, about 7 or 8 against Venezuela in their final match. The last we heard, it was 3-0 to Chile, so they're clearly going to win the game. So it'll be Uruguay then to kick off in the light blue shirts and dark shorts, attacking the goal to our right in the first half. And I wonder what attitude they'll adopt tonight. They were so strong defensively in the America Cup, looking to sprint the counter-attack. But will they sit back tonight and hope to contain Peru, or will they take the game to them? Free kick to Peru. Requena, one of the central defenders. 14 is Olivares for Peru. This is Alzamendi. Sosa making the sprint down the middle, and a little bit of a misunderstanding there at the back. And they didn't look too cohesive at times against Bolivia, Peru, in that opening game. This is Ruben Sosa. Scorer of 4 goals for Uruguay in the America Cup. Didn't shine quite as much in the final itself against Brazil.
I think you saw one of his great strengths there, Peter. He plays, he's a sort of player not too dissimilar to Ian Rush in the respect that he plays just onside all the while. Got this great pace, in fact they've been caught offside there.
He spoke too soon.
Much too far, much too close to offside. But that is his great asset. He's got this tremendous pace and strength, and he plays in a position where he's just barely onside. So anything that's any ball that's played through is always going to make him favourite with his great pace.
A very sharp striker indeed, Ruben Sosa, from Lazio in Italy. 3 more Uruguayans have now gone to Italy, play for Genoa. Paz, Aguilera, who isn't in the starting lineup, and Perdomo, who is. It's a free kick here then to Peru. Didn't fare too well themselves in the South American Championships this time around, Peru. But they did hold Brazil to a goalless draw before Brazil really got into their stride. Uribe. Del Sole scored that goal for Peru in La Paz. Peru rather falling away in that game, and it was Bolivia who came out with both points. De Leon with the clearance. He is very much the strong man at the back, De Leon, one of the world's leading defenders. Olivares. Big crowd here with plenty of encouragement for Peru. It's Mostalaza.
Yes, it looks very much as if the Uruguayans have set the score out just to be very, very tight defensively, try and absorb everything that Peru throw at them in these early minutes, and perhaps live on the break, live on Sosa's pace, and hope that Franciscoli can pull out a little bit of magic. But they're not. They don't look as if they're going to be prepared to commit men forward early on.
Olivares. Foul there on Francescoli. decision, I think, is in Uruguay's favour. No, in fact, or is it? What has the referee given? Yes, a free kick here to Uruguay. Referee Carlos Esposito. Free kick floated in well, but not onto the head of any incoming forward. But again, a throw to Uruguay, which Sosa here has gone over to take. Peruvian struggling to get it clear, and the shot goes just wide. But a fairly positive start here by Uruguay. Disappointing time for them in the '86 World Cup finals in Mexico. They lost to Argentina. Alzimendi. Tackle from Olivares. This is Herrera, who made a lot of probing runs down the right during the South American Championship for Uruguay. And the Peruvians, as I was saying, have certainly altered their side around from the team that lost, but they're in trouble here. And Francescoli denied, and the ball safely back with Purizaga. 7 minutes gone, no scorers yet. Fairly lively opening though. It's Navarro. Plays his club football in Switzerland for Wettingen, who've just secured a place in the UEFA Cup. Well, Ron, your early impressions of the match so far?
Yes, well, as I say, first 2 or 3 minutes, Peru were looking very busy, just trying to pop the ball about. Uruguay quite content to sit there and absorb and just wait to hit them on the break through Sosa or Francescoli.
And here is Sosa now. Such a busy little player, and very effective he is too. And the referee right over there on the spot to sort out any little problems that may occur. South Americans, of course, renowned for their rather volatile nature, and we certainly saw some controversial moments in the Chile-Brazil game. Let's hope it's a little calmer when the two teams meet again in Rio de Janeiro a week from now. Well, the Peruvians knocking the ball around with some degree of confidence in the early minutes. Del Sole seems to be operating from a deeper position today than he did against Bolivia. And the attempted shot going wide.
You get the impression that the Peruvians are very, very frenetic, aren't they? Obviously, playing at home, got a lot to prove. Their last throw of the dice, it seems as if they're playing at a far higher tempo than they normally would play at. Whereas
the shot not really an effective one at all.
Whereas, as I say, the Uruguayans will keep plenty of men behind the halfway line, that's for sure. They'll invite them onto them and then just try and press the ball all the while.
Throw that to Peru. If you are just joining us, almost 10 minutes gone and no scorers yet here in Lima. And neither side yet to create a genuine chance. But the Peruvians certainly by no means overawed. Uruguay, the favourites to go on from this group, just one team to qualify.
Yes, well, they'll be very, very happy. They'd be very happy to come out of this with a draw, wouldn't they, Uruguay? Although they're probably well good enough to win it comfortably. But what they'll make sure is that they don't get beaten.
Free kick. De Leon. Now a chance perhaps here then for Peru to build something. Certainly playing with a lot of enthusiasm in these early minutes, as Ron was saying. Cut out then by Herrera. Looking to take the game to Uruguay, but the attack breaking down, and the ball safely back with Pereira. In goal in place of Zioli. Certainly Uruguay will look to the striking talents of Francesco Lee and Sosa, and Alzamendi too, who's been a very useful striker in his time. By his own admission, he wasn't one of their better players in the America Cup, but he has been a consistent goal scorer down the years. Alzamendi, number 7 tonight for Uruguay.
The one that particularly interests me, Peter, is all the talk's been about Sosa, who, to be fair, I've seen quite a lot of. And he is, as you say, a very, very useful player. But Francesco, he came to Mexico in the '86 World Cup, didn't he, with a bigger reputation, or as big a reputation as Maradona. He was going to be one of the players of the tournament and really failed in Mexico. So he's got plenty to prove. He'll want to qualify. He'll want to go back to Italy next year and try and live up to his world rating.
This is Paz for Uruguay. Perdomo to Osterlaza. Uruguay looking to settle into the game, contain the early fire from Peru. Del Sole with the pass. De Leon. De Leon really did look formidable in the America Cup. Plays for Nacional, who are the World Club champions, having beaten PSV Eindhoven of Holland in December of last year. Alzamendi trying to get his tackle in then on Olivares. And a free kick to Uruguay. This is Herrera from Penarol. Return then by Paz, too far for Sosa. But Paz, the playmaker in midfield, so much stems from him. With the more aggressive talents of Perdomo alongside him, hoping to feed the likes of Sosa and Francesco Lee. Play by Dominguez.
Just look at the number of light blue shirts, Peter, that every time that Peru managed to get to the halfway line between them and the Uruguayan goal. They just play on the counter, just retreat, allow Peru to have the ball at the back and make sure that there's no spaces for them to hit up front, and that's the sort of thing that will happen. They'll try and get the Peruvians frustrated and, well, as I've said on a few occasions, and then try and hit them back on the break. Because the onus, they would feel, is all on Peru to try and make some sort of a chase for the game. It's their last chance.
Well, they've certainly contained them comfortably enough so far, have Uruguay. Here's Herrera. Osterlaza. He was voted man of the match in that World Club Championship final. Osterlaza from Nacional. Must be around 6'2", 6'3", I would think, Osterlaza. Foul then by Perdomo, and I think the Peruvians have taken the free kick too quickly. Uribe looking rather disgruntled. This is Hirano. Hirano, a very sharp player up front, and he and Navarro are the two that Peru will look to as the strike force, hoping to find a way to unlock this very tight Uruguayan defense built around De Leon and Gutierrez.
I think if anybody needs reminding some of the older viewers, the sort of defending Uruguay can do, if you think back to the very first game in 1966 when they played England at Wembley, they smothered space completely and didn't allow Alf Ramsey's team a kick at the ball, really.
Yes, who would have thought at that stage that England would go on to win the World Cup after that very frustrating start against Uruguay. And it's been frustrating so far for Peru. They really haven't created anything of note so far to test this man here, Pereira, the Uruguayan goalkeeper. We've had just over 15 minutes of the first half.
That's also a big advantage, of course. They brought the new goalkeeper in, Pereira, and of course what it does mean, it's giving him a good chance to get bedded down. Very early on, in about the third or second minute, he was very hasty with the goal kick, and I began to wonder whether he was one of these where the nerves may be getting to him. But since then, of course, he's had nothing of any note at all to trouble him.
Well, the Uruguayans will hope to trouble Purizaga now with this free kick. I think the Brazilians might try one from here. Faber in this situation. A variation here, though. Good turn by Francesco Lee, who's so quick. But too many defenders for him this time. The Uruguayans perhaps don't have the flair of the Brazilians, Ron, do they really?
Well, I think they have got great natural techniques, but what they tend to do is they tend to play. As we all know from experience, they're a very, very rugged outfit. I think what one tends to forget when you talk about Uruguay, for a small nation, and is a small nation, how often they appear. I mean, we've just said that they keep producing the club champions, and they've got this outstanding World Cup record.
They certainly have made strides down the years to narrow the gap behind Brazil and Argentina. They've twice won the South American Cup in the 80s. The last of them back in 87. And beaten finalists, of course, this year when they lost to Brazil. Del Sole, Hirana. And again, the Uruguayans packing their defense here to deny them space. Uribe. And now the break is on. Here's Paz. Very skillful player. Looked to be fouled then. Indeed, the free kick has been given.
They really are packing the midfielder. As soon as anything breaks loose in midfield, this is a pack of Uruguayan players snapping after it.
I think, as you said earlier, it's a game they simply don't intend to lose. And at the moment, we have no goals so far in Lima. But Uruguay have a free kick. This is Perdomo. And the ball sailing over the bar. So a first half really of very few opportunities. And that free kick causing no problem at all for Purizaga in goal for Peru. Not taking the goal kicks himself. saved a penalty last week. Urizaga against the Bolivians, but was then beaten for the equaliser. And I wonder really if the Peruvians have the imagination and the guile to break down the Uruguayan defence. Francesco Lee trying to accelerate away, and he succeeded here, and a good cross in too. And just beyond, Dominguez arriving in the 6-yard area. "20 minutes gone, and Uruguay were close to scoring then. In fact, it was Alzamendi coming in.
I think if Peru are to have any sort of a chance of breaking down the Uruguayan defence, they've certainly got to push people forward from full-back positions and try and break them on the width. All we've seen at the moment is where they try to come through the middle of the Uruguayan defence and play little give and goes. Well, with the markers, with the Uruguayan markers the way they are and the sweeper behind, that's going to be a pretty formidable task for them to get through like that.
Here's Del Sole, given away though to Alzamendi. Sosa couldn't wriggle free. And the ball collected here by Urizaga. Sosa, right across the face of the goal, with Francesco Lee lurking, but not close enough to the action. But just beginning now, Ron, to pose one or two problems, the Uruguayans.
Yes, every time they've come forward in a positive vein, they've caused problems, as you say. They've had about 3 decent opportunities to produce. They haven't yet, but I would think if I was the Peruvian manager at the moment, I'd be getting very, very anxious.
Well, that man, the coach, is Pepe, name we remember from Brazil's great days back in the late 50s. Pepe, a front-running partner of Pelé, of course.
I don't think he'd be terribly happy with his defender's contribution there. I think if he was pulling up short, he saw the Uruguayan boot come flying in, or the threat of it.
Plenty of time here for Del Sole.
He actually looks a very useful player for them, doesn't he, Del Soleas? In one of their earlier movements, he did try to come from the back and join in, and it looked a little bit promising. But they've certainly got to do more of that to try and break down the Uruguayans.
One of the younger players coming through, Del Sole. Again, it's Del Sole who clears from defence. Now, Peru have got players forward here. Again, the pass was a poor one. And the break is on for Uruguay. Francesco Lee got Alzamendi up in support. And Osterlaza now. Francesco Lee again. Appeals for handball, not given. And the free kick now is given to Peru on the edge of the area. Taken quickly. Uribe. All rather hasty though. And you feel at this stage, Ron, that Uruguay have their measure, really.
That's right. I mean, I'm just thinking whether it might... It's a dangerous game to play, but I mean, it might be better for Peru if they could invite the Uruguayans to attack a little bit more, and perhaps leave a bit more space for when they counter-attack themselves. But at the moment, there certainly hasn't appeared a way through for them. And they've brought Uribe in as captain to do a job in midfield and boss the thing for them. Now, at the moment, he looks as if he's finding it a bit busy in there for him. It's a bit of a minefield.
Dominguez. Here's Sosa. Teasing defenders one way, then the other. Paz. Francescoli waiting here. Francescoli over the bar. Well, most of the goal to aim at. And Francescoli at his short figure. Good play here by Paz.
Paz does brilliant here, Peter.
And he's spotted Francescoli
to
too.
dig it out from there, yes. He's the only thing you can possibly say with Francescoli there. The ball may have been slightly behind him. But he should have scored. He would be disappointed he hasn't scored with that.
Certainly a player of his class, and it's the highest possible class. Francescoli will be disappointed that Uruguay aren't leading now. Great work by Paz. Goalkeeper can't reach it, and Francescoli, yeah, may well have been behind him, diving in, and the ball just over the bar.
He's had a little bit of work to do cutting back on himself there.
So with 25 minutes gone, the best opportunity of the game so far, without a doubt, falling to Francescoli, who's now playing for Marseille in France. And they're going to have quite a team this year on, aren't they? Chris Waddle.
Oh, yes. Yeah, well, they had quite a good team last year. They only won the double.
Francescoli, who been around the European and world scene. Racing Club Paris, his last club. 1984 South American Footballer of the Year. Olivares for Peru. We've got to find some inspiration from somewhere. A useful ball knocked through. I think the flag was up anyway for offside.
But that's the most incisive they've looked. Possibly a shade unfortunate to be offside, but certainly that was bright and busy, and they fed the striker in very early.
But still, they do look so composed at the back, Uruguay, and that is the strength of the side. Bit of a miss kick then, though. Here's Herano. Neat control. Navarro battling. And a throw to Peru. Almost half an hour gone now in the first half. Still no goals. The closest so far. The header from Francescoli just over the bar. Olivares with the throw. Foul though by Navarro. Jeers from the crowd. It's Paz. Perdomo. Sosa to Paz. The two combine so well. Here's Sosa again. A fine understanding between the two, as we saw in the America Cup. Sosa and Paz. And a corner has been given. Alzamendi will take the kick. Goalkeeper stayed on his line. And the Peruvians bring it away. Uribe. Navarro. Crowd cheering their every move. But Dowell also failing to strike clear. I haven't seen Pepe for a few years. Was that him, Ron?
Yes, he'll certainly want them to be a lot more direct than possibly they've been. But it's not easy. I mean, when a team just retreats to the halfway line and is as well organised and as strong as the Uruguayans are, plus the fact that they've got the threat of two outstanding front players, it's not easy to play against, particularly if you have the inferior side.
But a glimmer of hope for Peru in the last few minutes. They've at least extended Uruguay.
Yeah, possibly when they've played a little bit more direct, when they've taken the time and played it around the back, that suits the Uruguayans. They can just retreat and let them have the ball.
Hirano. They mark very tightly. They close players down very quickly. Not always legally. It's a free kick here to Peru. Uribe. Now, is he going to bend one in from here? Brazilian style.
Or even Cubillas.
Cubillas, yes. Chumpitas, wasn't it, from the 70s team? A chance! And Pereira just got down. The header flicked on. Goalkeeper did well then, Pereira. A well-worked free kick. Smothering the ball on the just down by the post. Had to be brave there, Ron.
Very brave, very brave. Three of them converging on him. Yeah, that's good goalkeeping, is that?
He's the man who's come in for Zioli, and he certainly hasn't let anybody down so far.
But that's the sort of thing I'm sure the Peruvian team manager would have been looking for them to do in the early parts of the game. I mean, when the guy he may still have been suffering from nerves or whatever.
5 minutes to half-time. Still, we await the first goal. One or two chances beginning to materialise now. None better than Francescoli's for Uruguay. But Peru having a fair say in the game now. The goalkeeper's lost it. Oh, right across the 6-yard area. Danger, well, I was going to say hasn't passed. It has for the moment, because it'll be a free kick to Peru. But Pereira lost this one, squeezed back almost along the goal line, and somehow past the far post. But certainly this is a good spell for Peru. But can they reward themselves with a goal before half-time? 3 minutes of the first half to go. Tremendous noise now around the stadium. Was that deflected? Well, it may well have been, but the referee has given a goal kick. Again, they've worked the set piece well, and the shot going wide in the end.
Well, they've certainly stepped up again in the last 4 or 5 minutes. 2 or 3 shots, a couple of hair raisers for the Uruguayans. In fact, they've just got out of prison with that last one. I mean, we're just saying how brave the goalkeeper had been on the previous attempt, and yet he's made a right pig's ear of that one, hasn't he?
Well, the Peruvians looking now as if they're beginning to believe in themselves. They've got to win this one, remember, really, to remain in contention, having lost the opening game away to Bolivia. Safely back to Pereira, who's had his moments in this first half. He's certainly far more active now than in the early stages. And in fact, in the last few minutes, he's been the busier of the two goalkeepers, really.
That's right, yeah. They've actually stepped the tempo quite considerably, have Peru, whether it was the little incident when he came off his line and they thought they got half a chance, but games seem to swing on incidents like that, and that lifted the whole side. And they've been the better side in the last, I would guess, the last 10 minutes or so.
And here they come again. We're now into the last few seconds of the first half. Dominguez with a foot in. Del Sola. Almost now into time added on for stoppages. Off goes Alzamendi for Uruguay. Francescoli. This is Herrera. Cross was too long, really, but headed out for the corner anyway. Rather casual defending then by Peru, which has posed a problem for them in the last seconds now of the first 45 minutes. Alzamendi looks in no hurry at all to take the corner. Strolling over.
That will show that their attitude is, it will suit them wanting to get to half-time all square.
Here's the corner then from Alzamendi. Cleared away, and I think the whistle has gone. Indeed it has. And in fact, well, they're showing for half-time, but I don't think he's blown for half-time, is he?
I think he's given it for a push in the goal mouth.
So the half-time score, a little premature, but it looks as if it's going to be 0-0. We're certainly deep into injury time. This time it is the half-time whistle. A goalless first half. Francescoli with clearly the best chance of the first half from Uruguay's point of view. That header that flew over the bar, but Peru coming back strongly towards half-time. They're certainly in with a chance here, and the huge crowd encouraging them towards the end of that first half, and hope is certainly far from lost for Peru. The underdogs in this game against Uruguay, favourites to win the group. But at half-time, it's 0-0. We'll look forward to you joining us again for the second half. But now we're taking a short break. So, welcome back to the Jose Diaz Stadium in Lima, Peru, where the second half is about to get underway here. Peru in the lighter strip, the all-white strip with that red stripe, about to kick off. Now from left to right. Got a Kena there with Navarro and Uribe. No goals so far, but certainly hope for Peru towards half-time. Not exactly exposing weaknesses at the back for Uruguay, but they certainly stretch them. Uribe here. And a rather crude tackle by De Leon, of all people. So free kick to Peru right at the start of the second half, just 10 yards or so outside the penalty area. Four-man wall formed by Uruguay. Now, what can Peru produce here? Nothing to trouble Uruguay. Francisco Lee leading the charge. Played in from Sosa. The ball back with Purisaga from the Sporting Cristal Club, the champions of Peru. Several members of that particular club in the Peruvian squad. And the Peruvians still recovering from the air crash, you may recall, a couple of years back, which deprived them of several players from the Alianza club. Oh, a chance now for Sosa! Swept in. What a start to the second half for Uruguay. The sudden break, and Sosa, master finisher, triumphs yet again. 4 goals, remember, from him in the South American Championship. And that was delightfully tucked away. Not quite sure where she came from. An extra defender there for Peru, Romit. Yeah. It didn't stop Uruguay from taking the lead in the most emphatic fashion.
Very positive. Starts very, very early when Herrera comes and closes the ball out on the right-hand side. Quick little through ball. I think it was from Francisco Lee, and a super strong run and finish. I mean, that's what good strikers do.
So only a couple of minutes into the second half, Uruguay have taken the lead. Just when we were talking of Peru's strong finish to the first half, suddenly now they've got to come from behind. And I wonder if they have the character to do so. Well, there was half a chance there.
Yeah, if it had hit it with a clean connection, been on target, there was a fair chance he'd have got something out of that. But that's the worst possible start, isn't it, for Peru? I mean, the last thing they want to do is concede a goal. They want to try and get in a position where they can battle through. Look at this lovely little threaded ball between defenders, and there he goes, almost offside again, just onside, but his extra pace and power gets him through.
And showing there that he's lethal with either foot, tucking that one away with his right foot. Ruben Sosa. It's a real test now for Peru. A goal down against Uruguay. Alzamendi chasing through. Gasole, rather casual. And of course, if they start to commit players forward, they may well get caught again, Peru. Alzamendi, another chance. Osterlaza, the shot was charged down. Dominguez battling. Now Paz. Dominguez has continued his run through the middle. This is Alzamendi. Well, he left it. They were queuing up then.
It's good football, isn't it, that? Cute football.
And it's a very positive start to the second half by Uruguay. Perhaps a few strong words from the coach at half-time, I don't know. Wouldn't have thought he'd have been too dissatisfied, though, at the halfway stage.
No, he may have been just getting a little bit anxious the way they'd let Peru come into the game, the Uruguayans, but certainly now they're going to have to do something very, very... There's that angle ball again for Sosa's pace. They're certainly going to have to do something suicidal now to not to come out of this game with at least a point. I mean, they've got what they wanted. They've set the Peruvians back on the heels. I mean, that guy there must be absolutely gutted now. He knows that it's good night Vienna for him virtually, or good night Italy anyway.
Again, the Uruguayans with a packed defence, just prepared to soak up this little bit of pressure and then break away. Here's Paz. It's a good tackle. Girado. Uribe. Olivares. So for the moment anyway, Uruguay re-establishing their grip on the game. Olivares might perhaps have had a go himself then. But 6 minutes into the second half and the early strike from Uruguay, which could be fatal as far as Peru's World Cup hopes are concerned. No way through this time for Alzamendi. Uribe. Oh, neat skill. Gutierrez away. Riding one tackle, then the other, still going on, ploughing forward. 1, 2, 3, 4 tackles then. He had to go down eventually.
3 of them looked decent attempts at tackles. The last one wouldn't have been out of place at Twickenham.
Scything tackles. He rode past as many as he could. Some nice touches on the ball though from the Peruvians, but are they strong enough to deny Uruguay the 2 points?
Yeah, particularly Uribe. Early on, I didn't think he was getting much of a show at all, but in the little spell where they had a flurry before half-time, he showed some great little pieces of skill.
And here he is now firing the ball in, and it came back off the chest, I think, that of goalkeeper Pereira. Well, the referee has spotted an infringement. So it's going to be a free kick to Uruguay, but the ball was fired in low then by Uribe. But the decision in Uruguay's favour from referee Esposito. Alzamendi to Paz. Dominguez again linking with the front players, but unsuccessfully this time. It's a strong tackle then by Sosa. Prepared to compete with the rest of them. Goalkeeper out quickly.
I think that it's interesting to see whether there's a suggestion of a bit of tugging here.
A bit of pushing there on the edge of the area, I think.
Yes, I think they feel they might have had a penalty there, Peru.
Didn't appeal too strongly, in fairness to them, but certainly a bit of niggling going on. And here's a free kick now, then to Peru. A goal down, but searching for an equaliser. Olivares. Off goes Sosa. This is where they're so dangerous. And look at Sosa here. Now, is he going to finish? Well, a rather tame shot in the end, but what a run from midfield. The sudden break. And he's among the best in the world at that kind of situation. Could have been a second one there, Ron.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's one of the great advantages of having a forward with outstanding pace.
This is Paz now. He's got Sosa up with him. And Alzamendi. And this time there's no way for Paz to get through. So, Peru live to fight another day. And they're certainly keeping going. It's Gutierrez. Olivares for a throw to Uruguay. Just over 10 minutes gone in the second half, if you're just tuning in. This is the World Cup qualifying game from Lima in Peru, and Uruguay are leading Peru by 1-0. A goal from Ruben Sosa, with only a couple of minutes of the second half gone. But Peru certainly making a match of it. But can they come back? It's De Leon, the tough and uncompromising defender, De Leon. Crunching challenge. And Artiega got the worst of it. Artiega from Sporting Cristal. Peru, who reached the World Cup finals on 4 occasions, 1930, 70, 78 and 82. And of course, back in 78, they had that excellent win over Scotland and went on to the next stage. Well, that was a half a chance again. And they've really got to snatch one of these that come their way. There won't be too many of them, I don't think, against such a tight and compact defence as they're facing here in Uruguay. Teasing cross. Away comes the huge combative figure of De Leon. Dominguez, he got caught then. Diego with a cross. It's a lovely turn. Uribe. Snapshot, just wide.
He's starting to have a really marked effect on the game, isn't he, Uribe? I mean, that's a lovely, intelligent ball.
Again, a positive spell from Peru, having conceded that goal early in the second half. They're bouncing back now. A high bounce then for the goalkeeper to take. Pereira. And just Sosa upfield, look. Joined now by Paz, and Sosa, well, he was in a good position then if Paz had found him. And Sosa has shown already how lethal he is. Francesco Lee's intended through ball. Well, none too decisive at the back this time, Uruguay. And in the end, it was Osterlaza who had to clear away somewhat desperately for the corner.
I think whenever there's a little bit of pressure put upon them, they do tend to go a little bit desperate. You know, they get plenty of bodies back behind the ball, they pack the penalty box, but the Uruguayans don't give me the impression they're terribly composed defenders. I mean, for example, when you see a good Italian side playing defensively, all the defenders look well balanced and composed. These just look as if they picked the biggest guys in Uruguay to play at the back, and every time there's something played a little bit subtle, a little bit bright, they do seem to have their problems with it. Certainly on the evidence of what I've seen of them today, Peter, they don't give me the impression they would be as much a threat as, should we say, Brazil, or we know Argentina will be in next year's tournament. Always assuming they all qualify, of course.
Well, it's looking good for them at the moment. Uruguay leading here by the only goal so far. Argentina, of course, will definitely be in the World Cup finals as defending champions, and well, it's looking as if Brazil will be there, but who knows, with that final crunch game with Chile still to come. That's Artiega in a little bit of difficulty there. The Brazilians playing with so much flair and flamboyance at the moment. It would be very sad indeed if the finals were deprived of their presence next year. Paz with the free kick for Uruguay. Ostalaza decided to take the ball with him. Free kick to Peru. We've had now 18 minutes of the second half. Del Soler. Here's Paz. Some useful passes strung together, but the final one disappointing.
Sometimes they show some remarkable talent, a remarkable skill on the ball. The first touch at times is absolutely brilliant.
But you wonder if they perhaps have the finishing power. So far they've not found that vital touch in front of goal. But here is the man who has. Ruben Sosa for Uruguay. Couldn't quite reach Alzamendi coming in. Here's Paz, and he was caught then.
That would be a blow for them, I think, if they had to miss him, because he's been their most influential player. In many ways, he's the guy that supplied Sosa with a lot of his ammunition.
Francesco Lee. Paz had stayed down. He certainly took a whack. Paz back in the fray now. Here he is challenging. Rano, tiny figure. And the Peruvians will have to do better than that. There to find an equaliser. Artiega, who's come into the Peruvian side today, one of the changes from the team that lost to Bolivia. That, remember, the result from their opening game. And of course the Bolivians, having won that first game against Peru, will feel they're in with a chance too. They're reckoned to be the weakest side in the group, but having beaten Peru, who knows? They of course were at home though in that game. And if Uruguay do come through this one, Ron, it's hard to see them failing to qualify, really.
That's right. They'd probably rate this the hardest game in the tournament.
But it's not over yet.
And I think they probably would do, but as I said, they haven't greatly impressed me. They've got certain good players, obviously, and they've a way of playing that is always difficult to play against.
I think that was the feeling too in the South American Championships. They were a bit inconsistent. Serrano. And they almost didn't qualify for the second phase. Other results went in their favour, so they just squeezed through. But then we saw the class of Sosa and Paz, and to to a lesser extent Francesco Lee in the final round of matches before they eventually lost to Brazil. Flags up for offside. Didn't go in anyway. It's Martin Dal Osso from Sporting Cristal. And just beaten by the offside trap.
Yeah, that's only marginal. Look, keeper's made a good save there, actually. And a lovely little through ball again from Uribe.
So approaching the halfway point in the second half, Peru showing they still intend to make an impression in this game, and they've done that anyway, really. Uruguay, the strongest nation, favourites to win. It certainly hasn't been easy for them. Gutierrez. Artiega. Del Sole. Francesco Lee, haven't seen too much of him in the second half. One pass too many. Here's Alzamendi. Peruvian defenders scurrying back. Sosa in the middle. Oh, Alzamendi makes it two. And that surely now has finished off the Peruvians. It's a lovely strike by Alzamendi. A quality finisher. He had Sosa up in support too, but he goes it alone.
I must confess at this stage, Peter, I was expecting him to play it across the face of the goal for Sosa.
There's Sosa waiting.
Yeah.
They didn't need him. Alzamendi with Uruguay's second. 23 minutes into the second half. And is that now the end then of the Peruvian fight back? A spirited one. As Alzamendi looks up, sizes up the options. You can see Sosa getting into a superb position, really, but Alzamendi firing it across and beyond the goalkeeper. I think if he hadn't scored then, Sosa would have been a bit disappointed, to say the least. Yeah. He was in a perfect position, really.
Once again, though, shows the
near miss then.
Shows the quality of, or the value of having quality front players, doesn't it? I mean, they've been comparatively quiet, really, and yet couple of situations, and they've really punished the Peruvians.
It was certainly a penetrating move from Uruguay. The coach may well have been saying, what on earth is Alzamendi doing? And then great goal. It may well have sealed their win. Oscar Tabarez, the Uruguayan coach, will have a satisfied look on his face now, I'm sure, with his team 2 goals in front here and in command of the situation. They've never really dominated the game, but you've always felt there was the chance of a goal, and twice we've seen the quality of their finishing. Alzamendi, who, as I was saying earlier on, didn't really spark in the South American Championships, but his goal may well now have put this game beyond the reach of Peru, who are in danger of losing both their opening 2 games. And with it, I would think their chances of going on to Italy and the World Cup finals next year. 20 minutes left, so there's still time for them to come back, but it's asking a lot of them now. given up, but they're a little quieter at the moment. And Uruguay have got 3-4 players up here now. Paz with Sosa outside him and just slipping the pass too far. Should have been a third really there on.
Yeah, you would have expected a player with the quality of Paz to have produced a better final ball there.
Well, a substitution now being made by Peru, bringing on Marachero, who's quite a favourite here with the home crowd, but taking off Hirano, who's looked very lively up front. Marachero, who played in the South American Championships. Hirano's looked quite a threat though up front. Plays for a Bolivian club, Hirano. Marachero is from Sporting Cristal, who are well represented in this game. Francescoli. It was Francescoli's passer on that sent Alzamendi away, but he's not really been that influential in this game, has he?
No, I must say this again, you know, he's disappointing me again. He's obviously a tremendous talent, and but he's yet, in my book, he's yet to justify it on the big stage.
Well, he was waiting in the middle then, but the pass wasn't forthcoming. And Peru set off again. Hoping for a miracle, really. Del Sole. Francescoli, I got a knock in the face then. Free kick to Uruguay.
They've absolutely stuck to their discipline though, haven't they, Uruguay? Hasn't made for an extra, although I think the second half's been somewhat better, but it hasn't made for a particularly entertaining game, but
well, they've set out to do a job,
yeah,
and
they've come here. They've come to do the job. As I said at the onset, they've taken a point, and they look as if they'll go away with even more profit than that.
Leading 2-0 now, and just over a quarter of an hour of this match remaining. Group 1 of the South American qualifying groups for the World Cup next year. Peru having lost the opening match to Bolivia 2-1. And now, it would seem, heading for defeat in this one too. Uruguay want to bring on Bencochea, who we were told was suspended, but he doesn't appear to be, as he's about to join this game. About to make his entrance now. Paz is coming off. He did seem to have got a bit of an injury earlier, but he's played his part, Paz.
Oh yeah, he's been the main influence, hasn't he? He's been the controlling player.
Carranza with a throw, and they've got a corner. And renewed hope, but it's a forlorn task. But if they could just get one goal back, who knows? A packed penalty area, and the ball just wouldn't go through for Peru. And a free free kick to Uruguay anyway, but sheer weight of numbers then.
I gotta say, I don't quite see how the referee could make a decision in that lot, do you? It's like a crowd scene from Ben-Hur at the moment, look.
Rather like that astonishing incident in the Chile-Brazil game when almost everyone on the field seemed to end up in the net. And the goal was disallowed, not surprisingly, really.
I would guess, looking at the Uruguayan side, though, although it's a side built to do a job in this particular game, I would guess that this is going to be their way of playing if they get, if they do indeed qualify for Italy. They don't look a particularly exciting side to me. They look as if they've got one or two outstanding individuals, but the rest of the side seems to be composed of rugged, disciplined, defensive type players.
Alzamendi, scorer of the second goal, and we've seen the ability that he possesses. And they have, as Ron's saying there, outstanding individuals in Sosa and Paz. And some organised defenders too. But then in midfield, the workhorses Perdomo and Osterlaz are there to do a job, and they've done that effectively without being, as you say, in any way exciting, really.
Oh yeah, they've attempted, and I suppose you would say by the look of it have achieved it, just thrown a blanket over the game.
There's Perdomo there. Well, he's got 13 minutes to make an impact if he comes on. The second Uruguayan substitute, whose name we shall reveal to you in due course. Throw to Peru. Correa, who played in the South American Championships earlier this summer. Oh, they're still firing shots in from all angles, but they haven't got too many through to goalkeeper Pereira. And Uruguay quite content to just soak up the pressure with the cushion of a 2-goal lead. Uruguay just sitting back and hoping to see out the last 11 minutes or so of this game. Delay on away. Free kick. I think the flag was up for offside anyway. Oh, they've kept going, Ron, Peru.
Yeah, I just wonder if they could have, if they had had somebody that could have attacked on the in the wide positions, whether that might have just helped to try and pull the Uruguayans about a little bit. I mean, basically what they've tried to do, they've tried to force everything through the middle with, be it through tight little 1-2s or whatever, and I mean the Uruguayans have got a whole gang of defenders in there. I mean, I'm just thinking they're watching the Uruguayans play. I can't remember seeing what you would call one of the quality South American nations playing with so many, well, crudish type defenders. Normally, even if they play defensively, all the defenders look comfortable with the ball. I must confess that doesn't seem to be the case with them at the moment.
Well, they're defending a 2-goal lead. We're now into the last 10 minutes, and it's difficult really to see how Peru can turn this one around. And always the threat of further goals when Sosa here is lurking. themselves into difficulties then. Uruguay prepared to harry and chase, just to deny space to Peru, and now they're defending well efficiently again. It's just hard for the Peruvians to make any progress, really, faced by this blanket defence. Alzamendi, Francescoli's pass. Here's Sosa, whipping the cross in. A lovely left foot he has, Sosa. Not a bad right one either, as he showed when scoring the first goal. Strakena was the defender then who cleared. So a corner to Uruguay, which, needless to say, they're not too anxious to take all that quickly. Alzamendi here. And the header easily saved on the near post. De Leon, happy to clear anywhere. He found Alzamendi. Peru still chasing, still hoping. Del Sole. Referee waving play on, and the advantage is taken up by Francescoli. An injured Peruvian player as play goes on. Sosa. Benkuchir. And brave goalkeeping by Purizaga. Seven minutes left, and looking more and more now with every passing minute as if Uruguay are going to collect two valuable points, which will greatly enhance their prospects of going on to the World Cup finals. Dominguez with the throw. Del Sole. Del also. Now, can he get a cross in here? Good tackle though, and sound defensive play indeed by Dominguez. Nice bit of skill. Cleared the danger. Well, Carranza's done well here. And in the end, it comes off Perdomo for a corner to Peru. They're persevering. Manichero with the corner. Should be the goalkeeper's ball, and indeed it is, very comfortably so too. De Leon, a rare excursion upfield for him. Not too much has got past De Leon in this game. He may not be the prettiest defender in the world to watch, but he's a pretty ruthless one. And you can't really see them losing too many games, Ron.
No, I think they'll be involved in games that 1-0, things like that, for or against. I mean, the best sides will find it very hard to crack them down, and you just wonder with them. They look, you know, we understand the new manager has said that.
Just pause there as Herrera angles the ball across goal.
That the new manager has said that he'll try and stamp out some of the things that went on in the Uruguayan side in the last World Cup, where they used to finish the game with about 4 players, and the opposition sometimes 3.
That was on a good day.
Yeah, but looking at them, I look at them and see them as a well-disciplined outfit, Peter. Don't really see them having enough flair to go the distance in Italy. They'll certainly get to Italy, and nobody will really fancy playing against them too much.
Yes, in fairness to them, they haven't overstepped the mark in any way, really, have they?
No, they haven't had to. I just wonder how they would react if they got into a flashpoint match with one of the top European nations, or even against Argentina or something like that.
Del Soleil. I think the flag up for offside. That was Del also who'd strayed that time. And just looking a little bit dispirited now with 3 minutes left. They've had a mountain to climb with the 2 goals for Uruguay in the second half. Sosa and Alzamendi. This is Bencochea. Francescoli leaving the throw for Dominguez. Del Soleil. Dominguez again. And this time Ruben Sosa is just offside. The fans now beginning to stream away from the stadium. I think they've settled now for a defeat for their side, who've battled on gamely, but in the end lacked the craft to overcome Uruguay. That's the way it looks anyway, with 2 minutes left.
Even there, we just saw another little bit of a cameo of Uribe's skill and touch on the ball. You know, I've actually enjoyed, after the start, I've enjoyed watching some of his contributions to the game.
But not, unfortunately, for Peru in areas that might have damaged the Uruguayans a little bit more.
No, that's right. I mean, they've run up against a brick wall. Thing hasn't broke for them in the penalty box either. One or two of those incidents just before half-time. Who knows, the one that ran across the line, if that had gone in, that may have given them the lift. Would also have been interesting to see whether Uruguay could have changed their pattern and come out and played a bit more positively.
Well, they certainly came out strongly at the start of the second half with that first goal from Sosa, and they've added to it since.
Yeah, that took the wind out of the sails a little bit of the Peruvians, and then the second one, of course, meant they were chasing a blind course.
Free kick to Peru. We're now almost into injury time, just a few seconds away. I don't think there's been too much of that, so the game is almost over. Indeed, the referee looking at his watch. And it seems now the points are safe for Uruguay. Potentially a very difficult match for them. Proves so too in many ways. The third goal, of course, now would make absolutely certain for them. But I don't think they're going to need it.
No, I suppose on the credit side for them, Pete, you'd say they had a game plan and stuck at it. And they'll consider it's been justified by the fact that they've won. Well, it appears as if they're going to win fairly comfortably on paper, 2-0.
A throw to Peru in what will be now the last few seconds of the game. Indeed, the referee has blown the final whistle, and those two second half goals for Uruguay, enough to thwart the challenge of Peru. A spirited fight from the home side, but not enough. And the second half goals from Sosa and Alzamendi are enough to earn a 2-0 win for Uruguay. Uribe with some lovely skills for Peru, but on the day, not enough to deny Uruguay. Pepe, the Peruvian coach, disappointment for him. But I think overall a deserved win for Uruguay, who, as Ron Atkinson was saying, set out their stall. They contained the Peruvians and they broke in lethal fashion with those 2 goals. So we can take a look then now at the group as it stands.